I'm attempting to win the Champions League by building a squad of players at clubs that are already in the competition. However, there's a catch. I will only have a transfer budget of £500 million to buy an entire squad for. And whoever I pick to house my squad, I will have to release every player bar one. From each group, I can also only pick 3 clubs to steal a player from, and I won't be able to steal a player from the same group as mine. But the worst rule is, I don't know what group I'm going to be in until after I select my team. Now, to give me somewhat of a chance, I'm going to select Real Madrid as my club. And the player that I'm going to select from Real Madrid to keep is Jude Bellingham, which means I have to say goodbye to the likes of Vinicius Jr. So with just Jude Bellingham looking really lonely in our squad, let's do the Champions League group stage and find out which teams we cannot steal any players from. Now, we are in pot 2, as you can see, so what I think's best to do is advance to the next pot. So we've got to that pot now, and we can see all of the teams that we could potentially go in against. Arsenal have got Bayern Munich. Final would be a good one, but no Atletico Madrid, unfortunately. Barcelona, we know we can't go in that one. Inter Milan is in there. Benfica is not a bad one for us to join, but Leipzig gets that group. Napoli would be kind of difficult. Dortmund get there though. PSG would probably be the worst one. And Porto unfortunately get there. Sevilla, we can't do it. And Manchester United are laid in there, which means we get Manchester City. The hardest one that we could potentially get. Well, the other team in our group is going to be Red Bull Salzburg, so that's not too bad, I guess. And finally, the final club in our group that we cannot choose a team member from is going to be Celtic. So we cannot select any of the players from these 3 clubs, and we've got to somehow get out of the group, which shouldn't be too much of a problem, but I don't think we'll be top in the group. So here is the rest of the group stage. It looks like this. Favourites are probably now definitely going to be Manchester City because they have a Real Madrid side with just 1 player. And remember, all the players that we release, they could be snapped up by these other clubs, which would make it even harder. And so we have our £500 million budget. So it's time to get some friends for our old Jude Bellingham, shall we? Now, as we mentioned, we can only pick 3 of the sides in each group. So either Shakhtar or Galatasaray is going to be the obvious one where we don't pick a player from here. Let's start off with Bayern Munich. And the rules to obtain a player is we just have to have a bid accepted without using any extra cost. We have to just have an upfront fee. And straight away looking at the side, I don't want to go too big too soon. I think we go middle of the pack here because Leon Goretzka for £54 million is probably really good. And are they going to accept that? I don't know whether they will accept. We just need to get the bid accepted. That's all we have to do. So £54 million. Let's just go 55. They accept it. So £55 million off our budget already. And we get to move him to our club. Okay, so £55 million. And Leon Goretzka is now at Real Madrid. And hopefully our transfer budget will start coming down. So the second player that we're going to get is from the Arsenal side. So let's have a look at their squad. There's already one that I'm curious with. I've set it up for transfer value to be the highest. He is quite low. He is. Aaron Ramsdale's at £32 million. We need a good goalkeeper. And I don't want to spend too much on a goalkeeper, but I still want a good one. I think Aaron Ramsdale could be the way to go here. So 32 million is what they want. And this is the tricky. We just got to kind of go for it and hope that they just accept it. So £32 million is accepted. Aaron Ramsdale is now a Real Madrid player. The other 2 clubs in the group, I think Shakhtar doesn't have as many players that stand out to me. So I'm going to go to Galatasaray. So we cannot get a Shakhtar player now. It's only Galatasaray. And there's a couple of options that I really like. And there is also an area where we start saving money to then go higher. Like we could go for a Dries Mertens, etc. But for this one, I'm actually going to go at a slightly higher cost. I'm going to go for Kerem, who is a really good attacking midfielder who can play across the front three. And that's my reason for going for him. Plus, great physicals. So if we can actually pick him up for the £22 million, if they accept that, then we don't have to... There we go. Right, okay, so that's not too bad, because that's 87 million plus that 22, and we've already spent over £100 million of our budget. But let's not panic too much, because Group B is possibly where we're going to save some money, because it's not a very strong group in terms of Champions League. It's got Atletico Madrid in it, and this is actually quite good, because we can actually weaken them domestically as well, which does make more sense if you think about it, because we've got to keep our job to actually go on and win the Champions League as well. So this is probably a good option to maybe steal one of their better players. But I've come across a problem with the fact that they are Atletico Madrid. They aren't going to sell me anybody because of the rivalry. I did not consider that to be a problem, but it really does seem like it is. I mean, £31 million he's valued, and they want 84 to 122. They either want to rip me off, or we're not getting the player at all. So, okay, let me have a think. Yeah, Atletico Madrid is a no-go. That is going to have to be the club that we cannot buy a player from, which puts a bit of a stinker on it. But let's have a look at Feyenoord. Let's be positive, and there's a player. There he is. 46 million. I think we go for him because he fills so many options. Gertrude. Maybe for 44, they'll probably accept it without any add-ons. That's probably where we're going to have to go. They don't. Okay, we're going to have to just say 46 they would have accepted. Right, that's £155 million spent. Union Berlin. There's a couple of good fullbacks here, isn't there? Straight away, Juranovic and Robin Gosens. So I think Juranovic is probably a better option that I would like to go for. His mentals aren't fantastic, but... Oh, actually, 14 million or 16 for Gosens, who is a way better player. I think, yeah, that makes sense. We'll go 16 million, sign replacement first. We're counting that as an accept. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is not a Champions League winning side. Far, far from it. But we've started off quite well, I think. We've only gone through 2 groups. We've still got another player to get from Rangers. This isn't a bad start. I'm okay with this. Rangers, I think, is going to be the club that we're going to be saving money with. I'm just going to go for Connor Goldson because I think he's £14 million, so they're going to accept 15 million. They do. He's just given us an option at centre-back, and I don't think he'll be starting. Group C has Barcelona. We know what happened with Atletico Madrid. I don't think they're going to allow us to sign any players. So just to give it a shot, I guess, let's pick a player that's been there for a while that might be interested. Ferran Torres. Would they? No. This is the trouble that we're going to have with these clubs. Even one of the crap ones, they aren't going to be really willing to do that for us. I mean, Marcus Alonso, has he just signed? He hasn't. So he's been there for a while. That's not too bad. It's just whether I want Marcus Alonso, which at the minute, I don't. Let me just find a player that I actually want first. Yeah, he's better than any player. I couldn't get anybody else, but he's better than any player from the Red Star team. So I think we're just going to have to go for Marcus Alonso. So £19 million is what they said they would accept. 19.5 anyway. They do accept that. It's a lot for Marcus Alonso, but we've got a backup fullback. Right, that's £205.5 million spent here or there. Inter Milan, they have some very expensive players. They have some fantastic players too. I don't think we're going to pick up a big player here. There's a club that I've got in mind that I think we can get a good player from later on, but this man here is very well priced. £43 million for a right-back, position that we kind of filled with Gertrude, but he can also fill in at centre-back, and we had to play it for the whole season, remember. So if we can get this guy for £40 million, £43 million, they decline the immediate. Let's say that they're going to accept 45 million, or do we have to? 43 million they should accept. What did we offer? It was 43. I'm going to say £45 million, and don't at me in the comments. I think that's a good deal. Lons have a couple of good players, including some of their centre-backs. Medina is a fantastic left-footed centre-back, and they've also got Kevin Danso, who's a fantastic right-footed centre-back, and probably one of their better players, to be honest. However, we have got two centre-backs potentially already. Well, we have one in Geertruida and a right-back, so we don't really need that yet. So let's have a look at Medina, who is left-footed. He's injured for the first part of the season, 3 to 5 weeks. It isn't too much of a big deal, really. So, and he's fairly cheap too, £15.5 million. So they should accept 16 million, if that's going by that. Sign a player first. We're counting that as accepted. Making our way through the groups. Next is Group D, and I think Young Boys are probably going to be the team that misses out. Well, I guess doesn't miss out, that we won't be stealing a player from. Gotta admit, there's a couple of tempting players in Leipzig's side. Yusuf Poulsen is quite good. We've got Haidara, who I think would be great because of his work rates, etc., and just fills so many different positions for us going forward. Heinrichs is the same, where the fact he just fills in so many different roles as like a backup option. But I cannot pass up on one of my all-time favourite Football Manager players in Dani Olmo. I just have to pick him up. It's £50 million, but it gives us an unbelievable option for an attacking midfielder. We've actually got 11 players which fit into a team, funny enough, but we aren't going to be sticking with this because this would definitely not win a Champions League. There are a lot of options at Benfica. I was really tempted with Arnsness, who's obviously a fantastic centre midfielder who would be a bit of a work rate in there as well, really good work rates. Got like Florentino Luis, a little bit more expensive, who's an option there as well. There's a couple at the top that I would love to get in, but they are really expensive for what we have left. And then I seen a man I despise in Angel Di Maria at £2.8 million. And if they accept 3 million, sign a player first, then we've got to take that, because he is quality. I've got to start being a little bit more tighter with my money. I think I spent £320 million already, and we've still got 9 clubs plus Lazio to buy a player from. So from Lazio, I think I'm going to go for Adam Marusic, who plays naturally on both fullback positions, to give us an option there. So if they accept the £11.5 million, sign a player first, we're fine with that. Then we can get in Marusic. On to the next group then, Group E, and they don't necessarily have a bad team in there that I'll go, yeah, we're not buying from them. It's possibly going to be Braga, maybe Real Sociedad if I can't find one for a good price, because they're always priced high because of the Basque situation scenario. But let's start with Dortmund. I got a player in my mind already. It just depends how expensive he is. Oh, he's really cheap. 5 million? Nah, surely not. Marco Reus for £5 million, accepted. Oh, that's a good one. There's surprisingly a lack of options at Napoli. I think the only guy that really stands out is Simeone to me, because he's actually a really decent striker. I can hopefully find a better one, don't get me wrong, but I think for 15 million, well, maybe even 14 million, they will accept, and they do, which is good, because that's, again, keeping the costs down for later on. Now, you might call me crazy, but with less than £150 million left, I think we're going to go for another striker, just in case we can't find another one, and then we go 2 up top with 2 really good strikers, and for £23 million, sign play, yeah, we're good. Umar Sadiq, decent striker with a lot of pace. He's tall as well, good jump and reach, so it gives us an aerial threat. And he's decent with both feet as well. Okay, for now, this isn't too bad. We could work with this. I don't know whether it will win the Champions League, but we can give it our best shot. There are 2 groups left, though, which means 6 players. And we've only got £123 million left, or £126 million left. And this is going to be the most expensive group. PSG, Porto, Milan, Newcastle. Where do we leave a player out from here? We'll have to make a conscious decision, possibly cost, on who we leave out. Everybody's very expensive in this PSG side, as you'd expect, but Carlos Soler seems good value for money. At 15 million, he comes in as the guy who can replace Jude Bellingham whenever we need him to off the bench. Like a centre midfielder on attack, He's solid. We can deal with that. Now I'm really struggling. So at this Porto team, there's a few good players. Evanilson just stands out as somebody that if I just put him up front and just rely on him to score goals, he will, because he's just really good on Football Manager. I think I'm going to have to do that. Oh, he's even more expensive than what I anticipated. £35 million doesn't seem worth it at all. Okay, where do I go from here? Do I just go for a strike partner in Taremi? Different type of striker. Gives us a better option in terms of the style of play. Could we go with that? £15 million. Scores a lot of goals. Estecrio's not bad either. This is the point where I'm like, I shouldn't have spent so much on the likes of maybe Dani Olmo, but then you save money there, you have to spend it somewhere. And there's clubs coming up that I don't know whether I'll be able to find a player as good as Dani Olmo. Unfortunately, I thought Evanilson might be quite good for that cost. I mean, we spent 389 million. After this, we've got 4 clubs, which you have to roughly get about 25 million. But one of them is going to be a backup goalkeeper. We're just going to go for it. £35 million. It could be the biggest mistake we make. But Evanilson is joining us. £424 million is what we have spent. AC Milan's team has a lot of high potential players that we could go for, but nobody stands out as much as Olivier Giroud. I know it's another striker, but if I plan on going very attacking, £7 million for a guy who is that good and scores so many goals is worth it. And so with £69 million left, this is the last group that we are able to pick players from, because of course the other group is our own and we cannot pick any players from that group. So we have Manchester United, Sevilla and Dinamo Zagreb, and I probably guess that Ludogorets is not going to be the team that we select a player from. They do have some good value in some of these players, but I very much doubt any of them. Maybe the keeper could be a good option, and he'd only be a good option from the bench. However, our side, before we look any further, and I've literally just lined them up like this just to see what it was like, and I haven't really done it without Giroud in, but Giroud does go in, which is great. I definitely wouldn't have Jude Bellingham as the ball-winning midfielder. I'd swap those two round in a heartbeat because he causes a lot of troubles, doesn't he? That's not too bad. I would argue that I would need a better centre-back, to be honest, but we're about to have a look at Manchester United. Harry Maguire's there, so we could have good options. Let's find out. Manchester United, there's a couple of options, but I've got a plan or a trick up my sleeve. So with the £69 million that I've got left, Scott McTominay is only £22 million. It says 22.5 in fact, and that is accepted. I can't believe I just bought Scott McTominay. So that means we have now spent £453.5 million to go to Sevilla. Now, at Sevilla, there are some very good options. Nyanzu is up there as one of the best, but he's really expensive because he has high potential and is only 21. If you look at the rest of their defenders though, one of them is actually really cheap, and it turns out we had budgeted too well, because Sergio Ramos is just 12 million or 7 million. Would they accept that? 18. I think we go for it. I honestly do. We go £18 million. To be fair, we're not going to... Unacceptable. Maybe we aren't going to be able to do this then. Okay. Pivot. Let's see what else we can do. We have to have a better centre-back, surely. And I don't actually think, like, anywhere else, we can't really go for another right winger. Can we? Well, there's not really much point. I think it's got to be Nyanzu then. Loic Bade's not great. He's nowhere near as good as Nyanzu. We've already got the other positions pretty much set. I think we've got to go Nyanzu. And, oh dear. It's the Spanish thing again. Marcao, who isn't bad either. 36 million. We're going to have to do it. £36 million for Marcao. So we spent exactly £490 million. We need a backup goalkeeper. Zagreb, funny enough, doesn't have very many good goalkeepers, or at all. I don't know what's happened, but obviously they went from Livakovic a couple of years ago to now not having a very good goalie in the club whatsoever. If I went elsewhere, I mean, I could sign anybody from their side, and Baturino would be a good option. Obviously, he wouldn't play much, but he would be a good option. Ludogorets actually has a better goalkeeper, so we might actually end up signing their goalkeeper instead. They've got two. Their number one goalkeeper doesn't look like you can buy him. It's not for sale right now, so nope, they won't even consider it. But Simon Sluga, we're just going to have to sign you, and we have £10 million left. But if we only offer 2.5, so let's go to 3 million. They will accept £3 million for this goalkeeper. Okay, I know this tactic looks absolutely hideous, but let's just see if it works or not. We've got one winger, but we've got Jude Bellingham who pushes forward, and I'm actually going to lock him in there because every time I do best 11, he ends up switching with Goretzka, and that makes no sense to me whatsoever. But there we go. So Dani Olmo can sit in the middle there. We've got two decent strikers with two good ones on the bench as well. Our only weakness is our defense, I think. Is this Champions League winning worthy side? No, I don't think so. Quarterfinals is what I'm going to target. If we get any further from that, I think that's a huge positive. Our first encounter in the Champions League went better than I thought as we drew 2-2 with Manchester City. But shockingly, we went to Celtic Park next and lost thanks to a 92nd minute goal by Furuhashi. It was back on track at home to Salzburg though with a good 3-0 win. In Austria, it was a much tighter game, but we still managed to pick up the 3 points in a 3-2 win. But a loss at the Etihad means that we have to beat Celtic to qualify. And thankfully, in the 87th minute, we found the one goal we needed to win the game, scrambling through to the next round on just 10 points. And with Arsenal to play in the round of 16. We were doing quite well in the league though at this point, above Barcelona in second by a point. The first leg in the next round of the Champions League though was played at the Bernabeu, and we started the first half on top form and caught Arsenal sleeping as we put ourselves 3-0 up with just 22 minutes gone by the time Di Maria's header hit the back of the net. Arsenal, however, finally woke up at that point and the game finished much closer than I anticipated at 4-3. So it's off to the Emirates for the second leg, where despite Arsenal really piling on the pressure, we managed to hold them to a 0-0 draw with Ramsdale earning a man of the match against his former club. And it's Lazio in the quarterfinals, but as you can see, our league form has dropped off as we are currently now in third. The first leg against Lazio was a corker for us, especially Jude Bellingham, who was outstanding, scoring 2 fantastic goals to give us the advantage going into the second leg. A 5-0 advantage to be exact, to reach the semi-finals. Meaning we could afford to lose the second leg, which we did 1-0, and we are into the semi-finals against Manchester City again. And it was at the Bernabeu where we drew first blood over them when Di Maria opened the scoring. In the second half, things got even better, as down to 10 men, we scored a second goal. But with just 15 minutes left, Manchester City got themselves what could be a crucial goal, and the first leg ends 2-1. And in the second leg, that's where our run unfortunately come to an end, as we lost 2-0. Now, this team definitely far exceeded my expectations. I thought quarterfinals might be even difficult to get to, but hey, we got to the semi-finals. We actually beat Man City in the first leg, but losing in the second leg. They went on to lose and actually get stuffed by Bayern Munich. But quarterfinals, when I seen us beat Lazio 5-0, I was thinking, hello, here we go. We're on a roll here, because I didn't even expect to get past Arsenal. Let me make that clear. In the round of 16, I thought Arsenal would be the team to knock us out. Group stage, when we lost to Celtic, I thought, here we go. But still, it was only a quarterfinal exit of the Copa del Rey, and we finished in third in La Liga, which is not great at all. But with this team, with that £500 million budget from all of those Champions League squads, I don't think it was too bad anyway. Obviously, the star of the show was Jude Bellingham, but Umar Sadiq had the highest average rating. He was actually phenomenal for us, considering he came off the bench 17 times. And Evan Nielsen got 19 goals, even though he started 36. So maybe Umar Sadiq is a bit of a gem. Have you ever used him before? let me know. A little bit of money was wasted elsewhere. I think Goretzka was probably a fantastic signing. He was really good all the way through. But if you enjoy these videos, make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you do not miss any more coming forward. I've got a couple up my sleeve, and I've already done one already. Just in case you haven't seen it, I bought one bargain player from every Premier League club to see how I could do in the Premier League. That video is on screen for you right now to click and go and watch.